All right, welcome back, guys. Tonight we're going to talk about comparing and ordering rational numbers. Rational numbers are taking a step beyond integers, and they include any number that can be written as a fraction. So integers are a type of rational number, as are fractions and most decimals. So let's start by looking at integers and fractions to compare them and see if we can figure out where they fall in comparison to one another. So is -4 greater than, less than, or equal to -4 1/3? So what we're going to start by doing is looking at this number line that we've got here. And notice -4 is going to be right here on our number line. And then if we want to plot -4 1/3, note that that means we're going another 1/3 past the -1/4. So we're going to go, let's say right about here. If we were to split these into thirds, then this spot right here would be our -4 1/3. So if that is -4 1/3, notice that that is further to the left, okay? It is further down the number line to the left side, which means it has to be lower than -4. So if you guys remember your alligator symbols from elementary school, the alligator is going to eat the larger number, so -4 is greater than -4 1/3. All right, so now we're going to look at a similar example with -2 and then -1 7/8. -2, of course, is right here. -1 7/8, if we were to imagine taking this -1 and the -2 and splitting this section here all the way down into eighths, that would be splitting this into some pretty small numbers, which we can do. It's hard to be precise with my stylus here. But you would imagine it would be pretty close to -2, but not quite there, okay? So -1 7/8 is going to be not quite as low as -2. Meaning that -2 is a lower number than -1 7/8. So again, like we said, the alligator eats the larger number, so -2 is less than -1 7/8. Alright, so I want you guys to now pause the video and try numbers 3 and 4 on your own. Alright, so now we're going to try fractions and decimals. And this is, I would say, the hard part, but it's really just hard relative to doing integers and decimals or integers and fractions, because we now are trying to compare fractions to decimals. But that's actually not too terribly hard, considering that in our last unit you guys were converting fractions and decimals, and that's really kind of where we're going to go with this. So 6 1/2 and 6 and 45 hundredths. Remember, 45 hundredths, we can write that as a mixed number, 6 and 45 1/100ths. Now, we can also consider taking the 6 and 1/2 and changing that to be a decimal. Remember, 1/2 is the same as 0.5. So I'm actually going to take that away and just write 6.5. We know that that's 6.5, and 6.5 is definitely larger than 6.45. So I'm going to say that 6 1/2 is larger than 6.45. All right, -4 1/6 and -4.2. And this one's a little trickier, but still definitely doable. -4 1/6 I'm going to leave as a fraction, because 1/6 would give us a never-ending decimal. -4.2 I'm going to write as -4 2/10. And remember, that's going to simplify to -4 1/5. Now we have to figure out where these would fall on the number line, okay? So imagine on a number line, if you were to take it and split it into fifths or sixths, if we were dealing with positive numbers, 1/6 of a pizza would be smaller than 1/5 of a pizza. So what that would look like on a number line is that 1/5 would be further to the right because it's a larger piece than 1/6. But now when we're going the opposite direction, remember that flip-flops. So on the other side of the number line, -1/5 is actually going to be further to the left. It's actually smaller than -1/6. So because of these 1/6 and 1/5 comparisons, that means that -4 and 1/6 is larger than -4 and 2/10. All right, and one more example for you guys. 2 and 3/4 and 2 and 75/100. Remember, there's a couple different ways we can do this, and you do it depending on your comfort level. We can start by taking 2 and 3/4 and converting that into a decimal. Remember, if you haven't memorized 3/4, which you should, you can convert it by doing the numerator divided by denominator. 3.0 divided by 4. I know that 4 goes into 30 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. 30 minus 28 is 2. If I put on another 0, 4 goes into 25 times. 5 times 4 is 20, which leaves me with no other remainders to continue the decimal, so I have 0.75. So what that means is 2.75 is equal to 2 and 3/4. These two are equal. The other way you could have done it, remember, is to write 2 and 75/100 and then simplify from there by recognizing that each of these, the numerator and denominator here, are divisible by 25. So that becomes 2 and 3/4. 75 divided by 25 is 3. 100 divided by 25 is 4. So either way, you'd get the same answer. These two, this fraction or mixed number and this decimal, are equivalent. All right, so now once again, I want you guys to pause the video and try the next few problems on your own. Okay, and these are going to be the last 2 examples that I'm going to do for you guys tonight. Integers and decimals, and this is probably the easiest. So here we've got 5 and 2/100 and 5. We're asking you to identify which one is larger. Given that these are both positive numbers, this is much more straightforward than any other kind of problem you deal with. If we've got an additional 2/100 here, then that must be the larger number. So 5 and 2/100 is larger than 5. In our other example, -6 and -6 and 23/100. Well, if we're going down the number line, remember that if it's got a decimal added onto it, think about this. If 0's here, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and -6. And the further we go down that way, and remember, -6.23 would have to fall right about here, okay? That is going to be further to the left. That's further negative, which makes it smaller. So again, -6 is larger than -6.23. All right, I want you guys to try the next few problems like this one on your own. And then I want you to see if you can look at the list of numbers at the bottom of the page and order them in the designated order. The first one is least to greatest, the other is greatest to least. And that's all for today, guys. Please make sure that you ask questions if you have them.